Imagine the world-famous golden mask of Tutankhamun, the one every person on Earth recognizes, perfectly beautiful, calm, divine, staring through the centuries with that slight mysterious smile. But behind this mask lies a completely different story. The story of a boy who was literally broken by his own blood. When Howard Carter opened the tomb in 1922, the world was stunned by the incredible treasures. But among all the gold, something stood out. More than 130 wooden walking sticks and canes. Some of them were heavily worn from actual use. At first, scholars thought they were just symbols of royal power. Today we know the truth. The boy king needed those canes every single day just to walk. His left foot was severely deformed. Modern CT scans and DNA analysis revealed he suffered from choler disease type 2, a rare and extremely painful condition where the blood supply to the bones in the foot is cut off, causing the bone tissue to die and collapse. Combined with a clubfoot deformity and missing bones in one toe, every step must have caused him agonizing pain. He could barely move without support. But the walking sticks were only the visible part of the tragedy. The real bombshell came decades later when science finally looked inside his genes. In 2010, a groundbreaking study led by Zahi Hawass and an international team extracted DNA from Tutankhamun and 15 other royal mummies from the 18th dynasty. The results were shocking. His parents were not just close relatives. They were full brother and sister. His father was almost certainly the pharaoh Akhenaten, the famous heretic king who tried to revolutionize Egyptian religion by worshipping only one god, the Aten. His mother was the woman known to scientists as the Younger Lady from Tomb KV35. DNA tests proved beyond doubt that she and Akhenaten shared both parents. They were the children of Amenhotep III and his great royal wife Queen Tai. Full biological siblings. Tutankhamun was born from an incestuous union. In the royal family of the 18th dynasty, such marriages were not rare, they were tradition. Pharaohs believed they were living gods, descendants of the gods themselves. To keep the divine blood pure, they married their sisters, their daughters, keeping the bloodline closed within the family. They thought this would strengthen their rule and preserve their godlike status. But genetics does not care about beliefs or power. Genetics is merciless. The consequences built up over generations. Inbreeding leads to the accumulation of harmful mutations. Tutankhamun suffered from multiple genetic defects. He had a cleft palate. He had scoliosis, a curvature of the spine. His left foot was badly deformed by the bone necrosis and clubfoot. His immune system was weakened. And on top of all that, DNA analysis found clear evidence of malaria, the most dangerous form, malaria tropica, caused by the parasite Plasmodium falciparum. Scientists detected the parasite's DNA in his body. He had suffered repeated infections. Picture the life of this boy. He became pharaoh at only 9 or 10 years old. Surrounded by unimaginable luxury, gold, servants, priests, and the power of the greatest empire of the ancient world. Yet he lived in constant pain. Every movement hurt. Malaria attacks brought high fevers, chills, severe anemia, and total exhaustion. His body was frail and getting weaker year by year. He ruled for just 9 years and died at 19. He was not killed by a chariot accident. He was not murdered in a palace conspiracy, as some once speculated. The most likely cause of death was the deadly combination of his genetic weaknesses and a severe malaria infection that his compromised body could not fight off. A fractured leg, possibly from a fall due to his bad foot, may have become infected and turned fatal when malaria struck. Inside his tomb, archaeologists also found 2 tiny mummified fetuses, 2 stillborn daughters. DNA evidence strongly suggests they were his own children, born to his wife Enkesenemen, who was also his half-sister. Both girls suffered serious congenital defects. They never had a chance to live. The royal bloodline was dying out. The inbreeding had been going on for generations. The genetic load became heavier with each generation. Health problems increased. Malformations became more common. The once powerful 18th dynasty was slowly destroying itself from within. After Tutankhamun's death, the dynasty effectively ended. There were no healthy heirs left. The next ruler, the general Horemheb, began erasing the names of Akhenaten and Tutankhamun from temples, monuments, and official records. He wanted this entire bloodline to be forgotten forever, as if it had never existed. An entire era of religious revolution, massive building projects, and personal tragedy was wiped from history. More than 3,300 years later, modern science has brought that erased story back to light. DNA does not lie, cannot be bribed or rewritten by kings. The 2010 genetic study, published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, gave us the clearest picture yet of Tutankhamun's family tree and the heavy price they paid for their traditions. The analysis also showed that the ancient Egyptian royals of the 18th dynasty were genetically closest to Neolithic farmers from the Levant and Anatolia. Significant sub-Saharan African genetic components appeared in the population much later. The golden-skinned, refined features of the royal family reflected this ancient Near Eastern ancestry. The golden mask did its job perfectly. It presented the world with an image of an ideal, eternal, divine pharaoh, strong, flawless, godlike. It hid the clubfoot, the necrotic bones, the painful limp, the frail body, and the suffering boy behind it. It created an illusion of perfection that lasted for centuries. But now the mask has cracked. Science has revealed the boy underneath. A fragile teenager who needed over 100 canes to walk. A young king who fought constant pain and illness. A victim of centuries-old royal traditions that valued political power and religious purity more than biological health. This story is not just about one boy. It is about the high cost of trying to outsmart nature. Royal families in many cultures, from ancient Egypt to the Ptolemaic dynasty to European monarchies, practice close inbreeding to keep power and bloodlines pure. Time after time, the result was the same. Accumulated genetic defects, weakened health, higher rates of stillbirths, and eventually the collapse of the very dynasties they tried to protect. Tutankhamun's 2 stillborn daughters were the final warning. The bloodline could no longer produce viable heirs. The divine family was ending. In his tomb, researchers also found medicines and remedies, honey, herbs, plant mixtures. These were not just burial goods. They were the treatments he actually used during his short life to ease his suffering. His court tried to help him, but they were powerless against genetics. Today, when we look at that golden mask in the museum, it still smiles calmly. But we now know the truth it was hiding. Behind the gold was a real human being. A boy who became pharaoh too young, who suffered too much, and who died too soon because of decisions made long before he was born. DNA has finally torn away the mask. It has shown us the real Tutankhamun. Not the mighty god king of legend, but a frail, sick teenager whose own blood betrayed him. This is the tragic truth that archaeologists and historians could not see for decades. The golden treasures dazzled them. The official inscriptions lied for political reasons. But the DNA told the unfiltered story. It is a story of power, belief, and the limits of human control over nature. A story that reminds us that no matter how divine a ruler claims to be, biology always has the final word. The boy king ruled Egypt, but he could not rule his own body. He was crowned with gold, yet walked with pain. He was surrounded by wealth, yet died young and childless. And now, thousands of years later, science has given him back his voice. Not the voice of a god, but the quiet, heartbreaking voice of a boy who was broken by the very blood that was supposed to make him immortal. The golden mask remains one of the greatest artworks in human history. But from now on, when we look at it, we will see 2 faces. The perfect divine image the ancients wanted us to see, and the fragile, suffering boy that modern science has finally revealed. This is the real story of Tutankhamun, the story that was hidden for over 3,000 years, until DNA cracked the mask wide open.